Hello, sweet baby angels and pumpkin heads alike. It's your girl, Miss Tetra Resin Stone. And today's video, we are going to be looking at and dissecting the work of Melanie Martinez. Now, Melanie Martinez is a 25-year-old singer-songwriter who rose to fame after her appearance on The Voice. Now, full disclosure, I am a fan of Melanie. I think she is very talented and I really enjoy her work. However, may have some issues with the way that she packages and markets her messages and themes. Being that she's 25, they're going to have a little bit of mature content to it, which is understandable. She's an adult, she's a full-grown woman, and I think that that makes sense for her to talk about her past and talk about things that she's been through. But K-12 is set at a school. K-12 is set in a world where she plays a senior. She plays a high school student. One of the themes that we're going to immediately touch on is going to be neglect. Like right out the gate, this is a theme that does follow the main character and every kid in this entire series.
I wish my mom wasn't passed out right now and could at least drive me to the bus stop.
Every adult in this particular project is going to fail the main character. It's not only going to fail the main character, but it's going to fail all the other students and all the other kids in this series. And we're going to get into that and you will see. Now, the bus driver is drinking. He's driving. Obviously, that's probably not the best imagery that we want.
I'm trying not to look across the aisle, cause my eye is letting Dan put his hand up her skirt and she's got her hand down his pants.
An underage sexual interaction.
I know the driver sees it. I know he's peeking in the rear view.
Creepy, perverted, inappropriate relationships with adults and children. Now, continuing with that theme of neglect and abuse of illegal substances, we do transition to the next adult that we meet, and that is the girl's teacher. Now, the girl's teacher is seen snorting her chalk, which of course is a nod to cocaine. The next message that I noticed that stuck out that will consistently be throughout the rest of this project is the institution and the control of the institution on the students and on Melanie herself. I believe that this is a nod to the racial tensions within our country. We have Henry, who of course is Black, and he is essentially, calling that there is no justice and liberty for all people. I do think it's kind of a nod to the take a knee moment back in the football days. But in addition, I think that it goes even beyond that there's this idea of control and this institution that you follow the rules or you're taken away or you're taken out until you can follow the rules. And we'll see that throughout this project.
Injustice for all? That's bullshit.
Grab the boy. Get this one. You lost me. What? I didn't do anything. Take him to hold me.
In case you missed it, here's some lines to reinforce that cocaine. And again, we do switch scenes and we have now a mother that has been blurred out. So the mother figure seems to be really absent in Melanie's life.
What are those?
He forced us to take these pills. Each color is a different dosage. I'm on pink. It's the lightest dose.
Why is he forcing medication on everyone?
To control us.
Now, I do think this is probably a positive message. I think that she is trying to shine a light on the school system who essentially push down medication down the youth. There's a lot of Adderall and a lot of ADD medication that's prescribed to kids to control them because it's easier for the adults and it's big business for the pharmaceutical.
If you're not teaching, we're not learning. Excuse me, how much are you earning? I've tried to make you listen, but you won't. It's your way, right? Killing kids all day and night. Prescription pills and online fights. Shooting at the angels while claiming you're the good guy. All you want is cash and hype.
So we're going to revisit the theme that is, again, probably the most ongoing one, and that is the institution and control. Now, in this particular show, if you will, Melanie is either trapped by the adults in her life, either she's trapped by the music industry, whatever it is. It's very interesting. This reminds me a lot of PTSD, her trauma acting out, that she is constantly let down by adults in her youth and adults in her life in general. And the fact that she feels that everyone else is pulling her strings. Now, I think this is more for the control in the institution within the music career or the music industry, just based on the lyrics alone. And that she's performing for the kids. She's performing for, the song is show and tell, but she's performing for the youth, essentially. And she's being controlled by the puppet master, by the in this case it's the adult, the teacher, who is vile. And again, that's the big main theme that I found throughout this entire body of work, is the institution and control. And when I mean institution, it's either going to be the government institution, or like society institution, or the music institution, the music industry. She says, I am a product of society, and your art won't sell unless you fucked all the authority. So I think that the lyrics do support my theory on what she's trying to say. Now, what's really interesting, the next adult that we finally meet, this will be the first adult that is a positive adult. And what's interesting about it is that it's not someone in her world. It's not someone that's actually tangible. It's a alien, or a god, if you will, that's come to save her while she was at a horrible moment. And when asked to leave, she's not able to go with them. And for me, this is a symbol of isolation and a symbol of wanting to break free from the world that she's in. And again, this is something that it's really trauma, and that's just maybe my biasness, but to see every adult in this entire series or this project has failed the main character, right? Has failed the girls. And the one character that seems to be able to save them is not even a real person. It's an alien or a god. I think that that's really interesting and really telling. And that's why I think there's a little bit of PTSD when she's looking back at her life as a young girl. And especially since the character, again, is someone who is in high school. I think it's really, really, really interesting. And it's actually really sad when you really think about it, that she's playing an image for us that no one in her life was there to protect her and to save her. And instead it's this false entity that comes to the rescue.
Everyone, please turn to your scripts, look to page 2, and find the roles to which you've been assigned.
Right, so about that, is it possible to get assigned a different role? Maybe one that's not so domestic, like a film director or the president of the United States?
Harlot, perhaps?
Now, this is another positive message that I think that she's sending to young girls. And this is really kind of falls in line. I didn't really touch on it earlier, but there is a LGBT type of thing talking about the genders that were assigned. There was an LGBT character at the beginning. I didn't include them, but this is another thing as far as gender roles, right? We've got a female role and a male role. And even from the basic of their clothing, all the girls wear pink, all the boys wear blue. So she is sending this message that you can be whoever you want to be, and that she's in this world that is very rigid, right? Where adults and the society and the control, the institution are controlling her world. And so this is an example of it being, though it's in theater, it's the theater of life. So I do think that this is probably a positive message. So there are a couple of messages throughout this body of work that I really am like, okay, girl, I see what you're doing here. I feel you on that. She ultimately wakes up the masses and they go and destroy the institution. They go and tear it down, and the institution being the principle, being the binary, being the idea of what is expected of them. And though she is able to wake up her generation, or wake up the younger generation to do this, very soon right after that, we are met by the someone else to take the spot over, which is, of course, the son of this. So it's really interesting that there's this idea that no matter, even if you do overthrow an ideal or a group, there's always someone there to take over that role, right? So that's kind of something that's really, really interesting. So the next theme is probably the biggest one I have a problem with. So we have just overthrown the authority. We have just overthrown the institution. We have just overthrown the control. And the very next thing that we do is now we have an orgy and we have a sex scene. Now, this is very inappropriate in my opinion. I do not like this part. I'm not here for it, because you have these adults who are keeping the control, who have the control over the kids being high school students, right? Having these kids, and now the kids take their power and they overthrow the institution. And what is the first thing they do? They go and have a orgy, essentially. Now, I am not a prude, and I understand that teenagers will do things and explore each other, and I get that. But I think it's really, I don't like the message here. I don't think this is appropriate because this is a K through 12. I mean, it's literally for people in school and your children. I just don't like that. I don't like that at all, especially when you literally overthrown the authority figures by killing them. And once you have your power, instead of, banishing the drugs, or instead of, doing something positive, the first thing you do is you have sex. And I think it missed the mark. And I just really am at a loss, because I don't know how this is seen as appropriate. The boys are having a piece of her strawberry shortcake. You're not dumb. I know my viewers who watch this, you guys are all over the age of 18, and you're mostly women. So you know damn good well what your strawberry shortcake is, okay? And so to me, I just really, this is where the themes start changing. But that was the one song and the one message that I really had a problem with, that you literally wake up the generation, you wake up the masses, you take control, and what do you do with that control? You go and have an orgy, and you go empower yourself with sex. I don't believe we should empower children with sex. I don't think that's a message that we should send. I think we should empower children with, love and loving oneself and learning who one is before you share your body with someone else. And have healthy boundaries with oneself. This is not even a normal sex scene. This is a fucking orgy. We've got multiple girls in a tub, or rather a swimming pool. And we've got, Melanie, which Melanie's 25. This isn't Melanie. We have Crybaby, who is at least a senior in high school. And she is topless and has, I think, 5 boys running a train on her, all eating her. Let's be real. It's inappropriate. I'm not here for it. I really don't like that message that's being sent, especially knowing that this has all been packaged for kids. Oh. Now, these girls had this orgy and they haven't even hit puberty. So that's kind of why I'm really disgusted by that whole orgy sex scene. But we're going to go ahead and move beyond that and go to the next theme, which is the fake, phony friends, the, manufactured, what we're supposed to be like, what we're supposed to look like, that expectation of plastic friends. And the next adult we meet is the teacher. And this is another dynamic, another theme about inappropriate relationships with adults and children, and the adults in general just failing all of the kids in this particular body of work. It's really disturbing. It's really gross. The lyrics are just as bad, honestly. There's a line that talks about, if you give me an A, I'll, can I have your babies? And it's essentially a very inappropriate relationship between a student and a teacher, that power dynamic as well. And, this does go on to really illustrate the themes overall. And just to kind of recap, I'm not going to finish this entire video because this is a very long one, but to just recap, some of the main themes is we have neglect, and we've got inappropriate relationships with children and adults, as well as drug use. There's a lot of drug use and alcohol use as well, and the institution failing this particular character, failing this crybaby, who is of course Melanie. And so it's really, really interesting to see the way that she's chose to send her message to her fans and send her message to viewers. And I'm not so upset looking at it as a 25-year-old woman writing about her life, writing about the things that she faces. But the only thing that's a little weird is that it is packaged for kids. The characters are in high school. It's just overall, there are a lot of inappropriate themes. But that is going to be it. I will definitely leave the full content down below for you guys to check out if you have not already. Please let me know what you think about some of the themes that I picked up on. And if you think that this was appropriate, please leave your comments down below, like, subscribe, and hit that bell. I hope you enjoyed this video and this dissection. As always, I will see you in my next video. Until next time, bye-bye.